Oh, I hate these cold nights, and tonight is one of them. It's freezing and it gets right inside of me. And here I am, sat out on hills looking after stupid sheep. I know sky looks pretty and stars are out, but it don't ease the cold. It gets right through to me bones. Oh, oh, for a warm bed to sleep in. But can't be. There's work to be done. There's money that's needed. What with payments outstanding to government and all those mouths to feed at home. I told Mrs. that 6 were enough, but nah. We're going to have another 2. So here I am, freezing me toes off, doing a night shift once again. Still, there's one good thing. At least when I get home, I get the bed all to mysen. No sharing with kids, or even with wife. Such is life. I'm not alone out here. I do have my mates with me. They're good fellas, and we have a right laugh sometimes. They work hard too, do their fair share, which is a good thing. Though things could be worse. You need good folk round you in this job. You never know when some wild beast might attack, so we've always got to be on our toes. See, bosses, well, they'll dock our pay if we lose one at sheep. So we're always ready to fight and defend 'em, to go seeking after 'em if they get lost. Thankfully, it's been quiet recently. No beast to fight off and no lost sheep. But certainly no drama. We had a right drama other night. Scared life out of me, it did. Ain't nothing ever happened like that before. See, there we were, doing our job, when suddenly sky lit up like middle of day, brighter than any lightning flash. And it didn't just come and go, it actually stayed. Didn't half startled sheep. I was surprised none of 'em ran off. I certainly felt like doing. I probably would have done, but my legs turned to jelly. I'd have looked a right Burke trying to run with jelly legs. But if that wasn't enough, suddenly, there in the middle of this light stands this great big angel. Yeah, you heard me right. An angel. A ruddy great big one. Talk about being afraid. I nearly wet myself right there. I just wanted to hide me. So I dropped to my knees, shoved my head between my legs and squeezed my eyes shut. And then I confessed every sin I'd ever done. I thought, well, if I'm going to die, better get it right first. Well, at least that's what I thought at that moment. Then he spoke. I say it were he. I'm not certain really. I weren't going to look. One glimpse was enough for me. My mates told me about it later, what he really looked like, but me, I'd seen enough. Now I know what Gideon must have felt like when Angel turned up at his doorstep. His voice. Wow. His voice. I've never heard out like it. It was sweet. It were beautiful. It were majestic. Now that's a big word for me, isn't it? But it were. First words he spoke went straight to me. Straight inside of me it went. Don't be afraid. Well, he were right there. I were afraid. I were petrified. I was shaking all over. Then he starts speaking of a babby, a saviour, born in the town, in a stable of all places. Couldn't understand it really. A babby, a saviour, in a stinky manger, in Bethlehem, and an angel announcing his birth. You'd expect a saviour to be born in a palace, or somewhere good, nor a stable. Those places are filthy, and they don't all stink like hell. Weird if you ask me. I can't get my head round that one, or I couldn't at time. Well, if that weren't frightening enough, sky suddenly erupts with noise. I never heard out like it. It were incredible. All this singing like, and it ain't singing like I'd ever heard before. I wanted to have a look, but I knew that angel was still there and I weren't going to have another look at him. One was enough to scare the living daylights out of me. But that singing, though, it didn't half calm me nerves. It were like liquid peace pouring right the way all over me and right the way into me. Well, that's what it felt like. I could feel the fear draining away even as he sang. There's no like a choir of angels singing praise to God. See, that's what they were doing. They were singing praise to God as well as peace to men, and I certainly needed peace. My knees were knocking so hard and my stomach was still doing somersaults. Then just when I was getting used to it, just when I thought this is going to be good, boom, they got turned lights out and we plunged into darkness and silence. Couldn't see a thing for ages. Me night eyes had gone completely. It were totally black. When I did eventually get me courage back, and I took me head from between me knees, I looked up and there were me mates. They were just stood there. They had this daft look on their faces and their mouths were wide open. They looked a right sight. But I can't say a lot, at least they'd had a look, more than I can say. Were they brave? Or were they daft? I'm not certain. But they were braver than me. Well, after a bit, we get talking about what the angels had said, and Levi, see, he's the unofficial boss. That's probably because he's got biggest gob and biggest muscles, said we should go and have a look for Babby. I suppose he was right. If an angel tells you something, you have to do something about it. Plus the missus is bound to ask. She always asks where babbies are concerned. So off we set. Only 4 of us, like. We leave others to look after sheep. We couldn't take them with us into town. Wait whole town up and then we'd really get it in the ear. Well, it didn't take us long to find place. And there he was. Just like the angel said. This little bundle of joy, wrapped in cloth, just lying in a manger. Mother's lying on straw with biggest smile on her face. She's exhausted. What a place for your babby to be born. Poor thing. She's only a young lass. It's obviously her first. And there's father, stood by looking as proud as Punch. They weren't half surprised to see us, but you should have seen their faces when we told them what had happened. Well, we didn't actually tell them, just Levi. He spoke for all of us. Then we all took it in turns to have a good look. It were a beautiful babby with a mass of black hair. But that wasn't what got me. As I looked, something inside just broke, and I started to cry. I cried when my first were born, but this was different. It were like looking into the face of God. It was so pure, so beautiful. I can't describe it really. It were wonderful. All I can say. Well, I just dropped to my knees right there and just thanked God for that babby. I couldn't help myself. There's something special about that child, I tell you. Then Levi says, we have to get back to sheep. I didn't want to. I could have stayed there all night just looking at that babby. But we didn't. Don't know what came over Levi as we started to leave. He started shouting his mouth off. Wants to wake the whole town and tell everybody. Some were really excited to hear, but others, well, they gave us a few words, which I think are better not to be repeated. Rest at night, we couldn't stop talking. It only struck us later that the angel only told us. Us of all people. Dirty, smelly shepherds. Now when I look back at it, I don't half feel special. Us of all people, given the job of announcing the Saviour's birth. What a babby. What a saviour. And us given that job. Wow, I can't understand it. So thinking about it, life ain't that bad. Yes, it's cold out here, and yes, I have to look after stupid sheep. But I also got to see the Saviour at the world. So would it change my life? Nah, not really. One night like that is worth it all. The end.